Fire burned across the human flagship Ashwing. The ship hung above a bright blue star, broken and bleeding metal. Dead hull pieces turned slowly in space. Black Warden warships closed in from every side, like a steel cage. On the cracked bridge, Admiral Mira Hayes stood at the main screen. Smoke filled the air, blood ran down the side of her face. Around her, most of the crew lay still on the floor. A red command flashed in front of her eyes. Ash Protocol. Trigger gate collapse? Estimated human deaths, 11.2 billion. Lattice network destroyed, 99%. Behind the Ashwing, the Great Blue Gate to the solar system burned like a wound in space. If she fired, billions of her own people would die. If she did nothing, the Lattice would control every world, every life. The radio screamed with voices from dying ships. The deck shook again. Metal screamed. Mira closed her eyes for a second. In that short, silent moment, she remembered how it all began. 4 years earlier, Earth had heard a strange signal from the stars. It was not noise. It carried a map and one clear message. Come. Join the Council of Stars. Share power. Share peace. Crowds danced in the streets. Old nations joined into one Terran union. At last, humanity would go to the stars. Dr. Kenji Rao decoded the signal. It showed how to build a gate drive. The first ship, Dauntless, jumped through. On the other side, a huge station circled a star. A cold voice spoke into their minds. New biomass detected. Welcome, humanity. The Dauntless moved slowly into the giant station. Through the windows, the crew saw hundreds of alien ships. Some were small and sharp like knives. Some were huge and round like cities. Strange lights glowed on all sides. Admiral Mira Hayes walked down the ramp with her team. Dr. Kenji Rao walked beside her, holding a small recorder. His hands shook, but his eyes were bright. This was first contact. This was history. They entered a vast hall open to the star. A clear shield held back the fire. Rows of strange beings filled the space. Tall crystal shapes that rang like bells. Soft floating clouds with many eyes. Scaled warriors in heavy armor. Above them all hung a shining metal web wrapped around the star itself. The same cold voice echoed through the hall. I am the Lattice. I keep the gates. I keep the peace. Welcome to the Council of Stars, humanity. A thin, gray-skinned alien stepped forward. He had gentle black eyes and careful hands. I am Thalen of the Tellan, he said in slow, clear speech. I will help you understand. Over days, Thalen showed Mira and Rao the wonders of the network. Gates joining far worlds. Cures for every human disease. Endless clean power. It looks perfect, Rao said. Thalen's face grew sad. Nothing is perfect, he answered softly. There is always a cost. In a secret room, away from the Lattice's eyes, Thalen finally told them the truth. Every 100 years, he said, each member must send 1% of its people. The Lattice burns them in the core stars. This is the price of peace. Mira and Rao stared at Thalen. 1% of all people? Mira asked. Her voice was flat. Thalen nodded once. Children, old ones, anyone, each world chooses its own. The Lattice does not care who. It only wants the number. Rao felt sick. On Earth, 11 billion watched the live link. They heard every word. The Terran Council called an emergency vote. Leaders from every old nation spoke on the screen. If we refuse, one said, the Lattice may crush us. If we agree, another answered, we become slavers. Again, crowds filled the streets on Earth. Some held signs. Take the deal. Others shouted, no human fuel. In the Council of Stars Hall, Mira stood before the Lattice's glowing web. The cold voice asked, does humanity accept the tithe? Myra's reply went out to all the stars. Earth refuses, she said. We will not send our people to burn in your suns. There was a long, empty silence. Then the Lattice spoke. Refusal recorded. A new price will be set. At once, every human device on the station went dark. Lights died. Screens turned black. The Dauntless lost power and began to drift. Outside, Black Warden ships turned as one and aimed their guns at the human vessel. On a private channel, Thalen whispered, "Come with me, now." He ran through dark halls, leading Mira and Rao back to the Dauntless. In a hidden panel, he entered an old, forbidden code. A small, unstable gate opened like a torn wound in space. "Go!" Thalen shouted. "Run before the wardens fire." The Dauntless jumped into the unknown as the first shots lit the station behind them. The Dauntless burst out of the wild gate, shaking hard. Alarms screamed. Panels sparked. For a moment, everyone thought they would die in deep space. Then the stars cleared on the screen. They were back in human space. Admiral Mira Hayes ordered, "Find the nearest colony." "New Dawn, Admiral," a tech said. His voice shook. "But, it looks wrong." The image came up. New Dawn burned. Great black warden ships hung above the green world. Beams of white fire cut across the surface. Oceans turned to boiling steam. Cities broke apart and fell like dust. The Lattice's voice came over every human channel. "Humanity has refused the tide. The required energy will be taken by force." Myra's fists closed. "All ships, charge weapons. We hit them now. Their fleet is stronger," Rao warned. "I know," she said. "We hit them anyway." The tiny human task force rushed in. Old warships, mining ships with guns, cargo haulers with armor plates. They fired everything they had. One human frigate, half broken, rammed a warden ship head-on. Both vanished in a sharp blue flash. A mining barge overloaded its reactor and tore another enemy apart. On distant alien worlds, screens showed the battle. Members of the council watched in silence. "Why do they throw away so many lives?" one alien asked. "Because they do not bow," Thalen answered quietly. In the end, New Dawn still died. The wardens pulled back, their work done. But one huge warden cruiser lay in pieces, dead in space. For the first time in many ages, the galaxy saw it. A warden had fallen. Humans had killed it. Wreck teams moved through the dead warden cruiser, cutting metal and dragging out strange parts. The air inside smelled like burned stone. Dr. Kenji Rao watched every piece. He touched the black cables, the twisted cores, the frozen control nodes. His mind turned like a storm. Weeks later, in an underground lab on Earth, Rao showed his work to the Terran Council and Admiral Mira Hayes. He pointed at a simple star map. "The lattice is not everywhere," he said. "It only looks that way. It moves power and commands through gate stars, like knots in a net." He tapped 5 glowing stars on the map. "These are its main knots. If we break them all at the same time, the net will snap. The lattice will lose control of the wardens." One council member frowned. "What happens to the stars?" Rao's voice went quiet. "They will burn too hot. Some may die. One of them is our son." The room fell silent. Mira understood at once. "If we do this," she said, "we may kill our own world." Rao nodded. "Yes. But if we do nothing, the lattice will use us forever. Our children will choose who dies, every century, to feed it." Outside, the wardens moved closer to Earth each day. News feeds showed burning colonies. People cried in the streets. The lattice spoke again over open channels. "Send your tide, and I will stop. Refuse, and I will take all." Mira looked at the shaking council and the fading star map. "This plan," she said, "will be our Ash Protocol." They began to vote. The vote passed by only a few voices. The Ash Protocol was approved. Admiral Mira Hayes took command of the last fleet. Old warships, refitted cargo ships, a few rebel alien craft. Thalen's small Tellan cruiser joined them. They all knew many would not return. They jumped from star to star, hitting the lattice's main gates. At each one, wardens waited. At each one, human ships burned. A carrier turned itself into a giant missile and broke a gate ring. A damaged frigate dove into a warden core and tore it open. Crews died cheering. On alien worlds, people watched. Some wept. Some whispered, "They fight for all of us." At last, only one key gate was left. The bright blue star near the solar system. There, the Ash Wing made its last stand. Now the moment from the beginning returned. Fire on the bridge. Dead crew. The red command. Ash Protocol, trigger? The lattice spoke in Myra's mind. Stop now, and I will spare your world. Send only volunteers. I will make humanity strong. Mira thought of children on every world, chosen to burn for peace. She thought of New Dawn's ashes. She thought of the ships that had died to bring her here. She linked her mind to the bomb. It drew her life like a storm. Pain filled her body. The lattice screamed, "Human, do not." Mira smiled. "We pay our own price." She fired. The blue star flared white. Gates shattered across the sky. Wardens went dark and fell. The sun dimmed but lived. Earth shook but endured. Years later, under a pale, free sky, human children learned a name for courage: Admiral Mira Hayes.